Imagine you walk through your entire life with your arms full of apologies. You apologize when you send a text message, for bothering someone. You apologize for taking up space in a conversation. You apologize for having a need, for feeling an emotion, for asking for the smallest thing. It is as if your very existence is an inconvenience you must constantly be making up for. This is the quiet, crushing, and invisible weight of feeling like a burden. It is one of the deepest and most painful core wounds a person can carry. It is a secret belief, a ghost that lives in your bones, that whispers to you in every interaction. You are too much. Your needs are a problem. The world would be better, and people would be happier, if you just required less. And so you learn to shrink. To make yourself smaller, quieter, less needy. You become an expert at disappearing in plain sight. If this is the story of your heart, then I need you to listen with every part of you. This feeling that you are a burden is not the truth. It is not a reflection of your worth. It is a ghost. It is the echo of a story you learned as a child, a conclusion you had to come to in order to make sense of a world that did not have the capacity for you. You do not feel like a burden because you are one. You feel like a burden because you were once made to feel like one. This core belief is forged in the earliest classrooms of our lives. It is not born in us, it is taught to us. Sometimes, it is learned in the home of the overwhelmed caregiver. You grew up with a parent who was struggling with stress, with financial worries, with their own mental or physical illness. And you, as a small and deeply empathetic child, could feel their exhaustion. You could feel their stress. And your child's brain, in its brilliant but simplistic way, came to a devastating conclusion. I am the cause of this stress. My needs, my energy, my very presence, is what is draining them. So you learn to suppress your own needs. You learn to be the easy child. You learned that being small and quiet was the only way to love and protect the people you depended on. You learned that your needs were a threat to their survival. Sometimes, this belief is learned in the home of the emotionally neglected child. Your needs were not met with stress, but with silence. Your cries for attention, for comfort, for connection, were consistently ignored. You learned that your inner world was not important. You learned that your feelings were an annoyance. You learned that asking for something was pointless. And so you learned to stop asking. You learned to stop needing. You built a world inside of yourself where you were the only one you could rely on, because that was your reality. The belief that you are a burden is the logical conclusion of a child whose needs were treated as invisible. And sometimes, it is learned by the parentified child. You were not the burden, you were the carrier of burdens. Your job was to be the caretaker, the therapist, the little adult for your own parents. In this dynamic, having needs of your own felt like a profound and selfish betrayal of your role. How could you ask for comfort, when your job was to be the comforter? How could you have a need, when your job was to meet the needs of others? You learned that your value was in your usefulness, in what you could provide. To have a need of your own was to fail at your most important job. And so you arrive in adulthood, haunted by this ghost. And it shapes everything. It shows up as a fierce hyper-independence. You never ask for help, because on a deep level, you believe that needing someone will inevitably lead to them being burdened, and then resentful, and then gone. It shows up as chronic people-pleasing. You are constantly giving, serving, fixing, and helping. You are unconsciously trying to pay for the space you take up. You are trying to be so useful that no one will ever see you as an inconvenience. It shows up as an inability to receive. A compliment feels awkward. A gift feels like a debt. An act of service from a friend can trigger a wave of guilt. Because the ghost whispers, you don't deserve this. You haven't earned it. And most painfully, it shows up as social withdrawal. You isolate yourself because you believe you are protecting others from the burden of you. The silence of loneliness can feel safer than the risk of being too much for someone. So how do we begin to exorcise this ghost? How do we put down the apologies and learn to take up our rightful space in the world? It is a journey of profound and radical self-compassion. It is about learning that your existence is not a problem to be solved. The first step is to recognize the ghost when it speaks. The next time you feel that familiar wave of shame, that urge to shrink, that feeling that you are a burden, pause and name it. Ah. This is that old story. This is the burden ghost. This is a feeling from my past. It is not a fact about my present. By seeing the feeling as a ghost, an echo from the past, you begin to separate it from your current reality. The second step is to practice what I call existential loitering. This is the art of learning to just be in a relationship, without doing. Your entire life, you have believed you need to earn your keep. The practice is to allow yourself to exist in a space with someone you love, without trying to be useful. Receive a compliment with a simple, thank you. Let a friend do something nice for you, without immediately trying to repay them. You are teaching yourself, in small moments, that you are allowed to be here, even if you are not being productive. The third step is to start with micro-asks. The thought of asking for a big favor is terrifying. So don't. Start impossibly small. Ask a trusted partner, could you grab me a glass of water? Ask a trusted friend, could you listen for just 5 minutes while I talk something out? These are small experiments in needing. And with each successful experiment, you are gathering powerful, new data. You are proving to the terrified child inside you that your needs will not break the people who love you. And finally, you must become the welcoming parent to yourself. You must turn to that part of you that was made to feel like a problem. The part that learned to be small and quiet. And you, the wise and compassionate adult you are today, must give that child a new message. You must say to them, your needs are not a burden to me. They are a delight. Your feelings are not an inconvenience. They are vital information. You are allowed to be here, in all of your messy, human glory. I am so glad you exist. You are not a burden. You were never a burden. You are a survivor of an environment that did not have the space, the capacity, or the resources for your beautiful, natural, and very human needs. You are not too much. You were simply handed to people who had too little. And the journey now is to finally, give yourself the unconditional permission to exist. If this video was helpful for you, please show your support by clicking the like button. To continue this journey of healing, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. And if you know someone who is always apologizing for their own existence, please share this video. It might be the first time they've ever heard that they are not a burden, but a gift. Thank you for watching. You are allowed to take up space. V.